Hello, 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 everyone. Good evening. It is Tuesday, and welcome to the
Connected Corner. Hey, y'all.
Hey, everybody. So, we have a great show tonight. You know who I am. I'm Kiana B. Jones. I'm Kiana B. Jones, and my wonderful, wonderful co host with me tonight is. Oh, my goodness.
You looked at me like you were going to switch, like you were going to be somebody different.
I had to remember my name. I'm sorry.
So my name is Anne Marie Calloway. You're going to call me Anne Marie on this show.
Oh, right.
And you know why that's important?
I had to write that down.
Yeah, so she won't be able to remember. You know why that's important?
Yes.
Because we're talking about the census.
Oh.
And the census requires you to give real accurate information. Ah, look at that. So I'm Anne Marie Calloway for the show. And this is the Connected Corner. So welcome.
We already started with the shenanigans.
If I didn't, it wouldn't be me. It'd be like, is she sick? No corny joke.
Right.
So, how was your weekend?
It's Tuesday. It's kind of almost a distant memory, but it was cool.
It feels the same to me.
I know. It's like every day lately, it's like the same day. I have to ask myself every day what day it is. And honestly, I think the days like we have the show are the things helps me to know what day of the week. Because if I didn't have like
Tuesday,
these things to do, I don't think I would know what day it was.
Exactly. Well, I'm kind of the same way. It's almost like what am I wearing today? And Lord forbid if I have a funky day and I don't change my clothes. It's just an extension of the same day.
Right. Exactly.
It's called COVID Chronicles. Did you know that? So COVID has changed our culture so much that even on the topic that we're talking about tonight, when it's the census and people have to engage, because in all honesty, there are people who have been in the house since March. Yeah. Can you imagine? That's been 6 months in the house. They murdered their whole families. Their census numbers gonna be completely wrong.
Yeah, that actually is a good point. We're gonna talk about that. COVID and census, like how is that going to change how people like? It's been a lot happening, so we're gonna see
COVID and census
as we get into this discussion.
Yeah, and we want to hear from you guys. So if you have comments, if you got questions, if you want to really know what the census is. If you want to tell us what your grandmama told you about the census and not putting them people up in your business, let us know. We want to hear all about you, what census faux pas you have, what things do you think you know about the census, what you want to do with the money that comes from the census. Let's talk about it.
Oh, yes, absolutely, because it pays to be counted.
Ah, like that. Come on, it pays to be counted.
To be counted. So we have to understand that it's, just not about us as people, the resources, but it's money.
Yeah.
And we need money in our community. So we are definitely going to talk about the importance of what that is. And we want you guys to talk back to us. So throughout the show, we want to know, have you completed the census, right? And so you're going to go through and you're going to tell us a couple of things. You're going to let us know that you completed the census. We want you to comment. And what we want you to comment and say is that I've been counted. You can say one of those. You can type roll call because it's the census roll call. So we talk about roll call. I know when we were growing up, when it was time for us to come in at night, everybody's parent we knew once the first person name started, and we called it roll call, right?
Oh,
and so that was roll call back in, Potter Street days.
Yeah. And you just took me back on Pacer Street. That's how I used to go. I was always the youngest of the group, right? And so my grandfather would go, baby. So anybody from around the way, they know me as baby, right? So he would call, and then everybody, Tina, Margo, Ava, Marquise, Tony, and everybody would be mad at me.
Yeah. You know why I started?
Because I started the roll call.
Yep. And that's what the census is about. It's the roll call, right? So how too famous was my mother was Kiki, like that, Kiki. So you hear that, and then Dion Nikki, their mother would be like Dion Nikki. Oh, and the famous was Miss Peaches. She called
we're gonna get kicked out of our studio. The lady above us sleep.
So that was just the beginning of the roll call. So we want to know, are you going to be counted in the census roll call? So drop your names, drop your comments. I've been counting.
Flashback.
Roll call, flashback.
Yeah.
I'm smiling.
Do you want to introduce our person?
Yes.
So,
and
while you're introducing,
click the button and add her on. So we have with us tonight, isn't she cute, y'all? The beautiful G Malone. And so we are just so excited to have her with us tonight. So Jean is an analyst, for government analyst. She is well versed in knowledge in census and being counted in a census, what all that means. She's a dove. Woo-woo. And she's my illustrious soror, Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated.
Amazing.
And so we, for those who know, if you're a part of organizations all around, this is a time where everybody is about voting, it's about census. And so we thought that, this would be a great opportunity to talk about it. We also want to shout out the West Baltimore Census Collective, who I have the pleasure of working with Ms. Crystal Parker. And so this is a part of the initiative for West Baltimore Census Collective to make sure we're getting the word out about people being counted in the census. So we're just excited. Thank you guys for joining us. And we have our lovely assistant there. Yes, that's going to be helping us with y'all comments, the beautiful Braxton Sky.
She's amazing.
She is. And so she'll be helping us with your comments and things. So drop your comments. Let us know you've been counted. If you need to do the census, do it tonight. The website is on the ticker. You'll see it there. Okay. And so throughout the show, go ahead, go online, complete it. Let us know you completed it and let us know you've been counted.
Yes. And you know what's funny? I do want to hear from you as a ex-federal government slave. I'm sorry, employee girl. I started rocking. I had some long days.
She started rocking.
Plantation. So anyway, as a employee, I know there were certain words that we were trained not to use, and certain phrases and things that we just stayed away from. And believe it or not, the word counted is something that correlates to, in my past experiences, when people were counted, it really had to do with HIV and AIDS. It didn't necessarily have to do with funding. And if it did, it didn't have to do with funding in a positive way. So I want to hear from you and your experience. Are there those types of words that you are kind of like faux pas? Do you think saying the word counted gives people some kind of angst?
First, hello, good evening. Thank you for having me. I want to apologize. My roommates, one of them right here, have a tendency to involve themselves.
The bird is on her shoulder.
Yeah, she
was white, and I was like, look.
I didn't even notice.
Yeah, I had to put her back, but then she came back, and then she was fighting me. So buzzwords or trigger words in our actuality happens when you ask people what their name is. So one thing that has taken place within the census, when you're speaking to people and you're interviewing them, is they can actually give a nickname. At this point, because what happens is when you speak to people, they don't really trust the government. And so they're like, well, what they need this information for, they already know everything they need to know. And the funny thing about that is when they say they already know everything they need to know, then you should be, okay, so if they already know everything, then just go ahead and complete the census, right? I'm really concerned when you ask their name. That's the biggest thing. So to be transparent, I say, okay, do you have a nickname you want to use? The whole thing about the census is it's not so much as the person's name. It's more about the actual count. How many people are in the household and the ages of the people in the household. That's going to determine the resources that are needed for the neighborhood. Now, a long, long time ago, names would have been very important. That's why when you go to the African American Museum and they have those old books and old census documents where you can see slaves who were owned and everything, definitely it's most important in regards to historical purposes for that. But in order to ease people's minds, then I just try to remind people that, it's not about your name. It's about the count. They're not afraid of the word count. It's just, we just want to have a decent count. And then I just go into explaining the benefits of why we need to count, and then why age is important and why name is not as important. It's important.
But I can be Anne Marie Calloway.
Absolutely. And oh my God.
I love it. So we're coming to visit when COVID is over, and once we get past the pandemic, because my son is going to have a ball with your birds. Oh my God!
I go on a Zoom meeting for work. Between her or neighbors knocking at my back door.
That is hilarious.
So yeah, definitely, and even if we know who you are, we can't even say no. That's not your name.
Right.
That's the information you give. That's the information that has to be placed on the document.
Oh, wow. And so I am a historian. I just was on a call. I started a cohort, and it was extremely great and wonderful. And I mentioned, having a degree in history and really having a love for history. And so a selling point for me used to be, hey, in 50 years, 70 years, your children's children can come back and see who you are and where you lived and things like that. But now knowing that information doesn't have to be, forthright and given, how does that affect the history of a certain family or community?
Right. Well, in terms of historical purposes, it hurts the history. That's why it's not put out there. You don't advertise that at first when you first start talking to people. But when they start looking anxious, like, I'm about to close this door.
Yeah.
I'm about to hang the phone up.
Right.
Then you ask, well, what is the nickname? Now, this is the thing. Remember, in regards to history, they have identification numbers that go along with them. So you can still, even way back when people was given true answers, you still saw nicknames. But there were other things that were connectors, because they said, well, they had this many children, they lived in this town, they lived on this street, so there were other things that were connectors in order to tie families together. So you could be like, that was Uncle Buck.
Got it.
There will still be a connector.
I'm a connector.
One thing people don't realize about the census is that the decennial is not the only time the census collects data. They collect data at other times during the year. So people, the census may reach out to people at other times. So just counts is not the only information that they get, but they get also household incomes and so forth like that. That's needed for governments and stuff. So there are other times when they come right back and they get some similar data. So again, you have connections, you have links, because sometimes people forget what nickname they gave. And then also when you move, they try to catch in transit. So when you end up at your new address, if you have not filled it out for your new address, but you filled it out for your old address, if someone comes and no one has filled out for that address, then you ask, well, was it done at your old address? If you weren't here, they're called in movers. If you weren't here during every first, did you fill out at your old address? Well, no. Well, we can go ahead and we can do that now, so that's any means necessary in order to get the data so that the area can get the funding that is going to probably eventually be needed, and also get the representation that is going to be needed for that population.
That's really good. You mentioned funding, and I also have a personal question. And so funding, I'm gonna just throw a number out. You tell me if I'm right or wrong. All right, you ready? I heard you get $80 a person. Woohoo! I want my $80.
So I don't know how much it. Are you talking about me?
Not you.
No. Like, I'm gonna get $80 for everybody.
Girl, I would have had all my cousins.
Program for the Census Bureau.
Gee, if they said $80 a person, you get to complete the census.
I'll be like,
they owe me like $5,600.
Right.
And I
Everybody make it.
I'm
about to get me.
Everybody.
Okay. How much?
No. I wanted you to talk about spending and how much for each person?
Okay, so I don't actually know how much it is per person, but there is $600 billion available.
Okay.
Okay. And what ends up happening is, so let's say representation, right? The population number is extremely important because that's how they determine how many representatives from the House of Representatives that each state gets.
Yes.
It only changes every 10 years based upon the information that's collected in the census. Okay, so based upon the state population, then that determines how much you're going to get of the 675 billion. What they're doing, I don't know what the numbers are behind the scenes. I'm an analyst for one county, federal government, not for the Department of Commerce, but that's why it's extremely important, and again, to stress to people, or I stress to people, and for everyone to stress to their family members and their friends, please fill it out, please, because when you fill out that information, money comes into our communities. Jobs come into our communities. Okay. Again, depending upon the population count, depending upon the age of a population, builders decide where they want to build.
That's right.
So if you're in the dilapidated neighborhood, and the builder is looking at the neighborhood and he sees he can buy so much amount of land for a very low price or whatever, and he's looking at the population in the neighborhood. Well, let me see, how much money do these people make?
Right.
How many homes could I be able to sell in that neighborhood? Do I want to move into that neighborhood? So that's a possibility. Then you would have stores and factories who look at the population data and they decide, well, do I want to move into that area? How much? What do the taxes look like? Do we have to pay? What that taxes that they're going to have to pay? And so and jobs can come into the neighborhood. So people are so concerned about what the government knows. We know the government knows what it knows, but we need money in our neighborhoods, especially in neighborhoods where where we're being hurt. We need schooling, transportation. How does the government decide what bus routes are needed? Where do senior citizen facilities need to pop up? If they look at population data and they say, well, oh my God, this is the population in this neighborhood is aging considerably, then someone might decide, or an organization might decide, we want to go in and we want to open up 400-bed senior citizen facility, you see what I'm saying? So it is extremely important. So the money aspect is a little bit bigger than just a per person aspect. It's everything else. It's the investments that's made into these neighborhoods.
Got it. Yeah, so I think we have a couple of other figures as well. Did you want to jump in before I talk about my personal?
Your personal. So the one thing is something that I read. You were talking about the amount. It's an 8 in it, and it's a 0 in it. But it's $1,800 per person over a 10-year period. So that's like 18,000 lost for each person that doesn't complete the census. So this is money. For everybody's community. So each person, just think like, if you don't complete it, for your community, for your area, then that's $18,000 lost, right? Because, and so when we say it pays to be counted, it really pays to be counted, like that's not anything to sneeze at when you're talking about sneeze at, when we have complaints about the school system, right? And so all of these complaints are things, everybody, and the way, particularly, we all were raised in Baltimore City, went to Baltimore City public schools. And so when we're talking about, think 10 years ago, you know what I mean? Like, did you complete the census 10 years ago? When we're talking about development, and that was something I learned a long time ago, to say like development and things like that happen in 10 to 20-year periods. I'm passionate about it, right? 10 to 20 years. And so I'm just connecting now why that is 10 to 20 years is because it is directly tied to the census and to the money.
Y'all welcome. Y'all welcome. I can see who it was, but the person said that she had like 9 kids. She just was filling out anything, got all kinds of funding. But let me put this up. You guys tell me. There are some numbers you can call, and I will find them. We may have to post them for the replay of the show. If you guys are catching this on the replay, check out our comments. Still drop your questions and things like that. We do go back and look through those comments. But I had a bill collector call me and pretend to be calling from the census. Okay. Wow. And so now I want you guys just to understand that there are people out here who are desperate. They're going to try anything, right? Mm-hmm. And so most people know, I mean, I go by Tori. My real name is Victoria, right? Victoria Rose. It sounds a beautiful Broadway name. It's not unique. There's 4 of us in Baltimore City. And so one of them used to live on Tivoli, right? And so she is from Roundaway girl. She's a little older than me. Our birthdays have similar numbers, but we are exactly 20 years apart. And so I get a phone call from someone pretending to be the census. And the person said, "Hi, I'm looking for Victoria Rose." And I said, "This is she." And she says, I'm calling from the census. I just have some information I need you to verify. So, "Oh, okay." And she, did you ever have an account with? And she listed this company. I'm like, "No." She's like, "Do you recall owing $915 and some change?" So let's say $916. Girl, no. She said, "Okay, well, at the census, we want to make sure that we have the right information. Have you ever lived on Tivoli?" Girl, no. If you don't get yourself off my phone, and of course, it went a little more frequent than that. But because this young lady, the other Victoria, and I have crossed paths, right? I had a way to place mine.
Now you just put her business out there, but go ahead.
Well,
who know Victoria from Tivoli? It was only one. It was on the whole street.
Only one block in Tivoli. And so she and I had an intersection like a few years back. She got a refund of my layaway. And so, so we had already known, and it was an innocent mistake or whatever. And so I knew very well that this was a bill collector. I knew very well that they were trying to find this person. And so I went, and there is a number that you can report, like fraudulent numbers, and if someone's calling you and it's not correct. And so that's the information I'm going to provide, that I reported that 888 number to the census to say, like, this person was mimicking, the census or whatever. So guys, listen, if someone is calling you and they are asking you information that is not how many people live in your household, do you currently, actually, is that true that the census won't even call you? Wait, they only call, Jean, help us with that. Do they call you?
No, you call the census. The number's there for you to call. And as a matter of fact, when you call into the census, they do not have any personal information about you. There's a personal identification number. And when you call in, the only information you're giving is your name and your age and the race. There's nothing that census employees know.
They don't know nothing about your Renaissance accounts.
No, absolutely not. Not at all.
I said, girl, where she get? Like, being nosy. Who was that? I said, the refrigerator. I'm being nosy. But anyway, but I want to also just say that because we do have seniors, right? We have people who maybe don't know how to always leverage and access technology. We may have young people who are just their first census. Guys, they're not going to call you and ask you to verify your social security number.
No.
They're not going to call you and ask you about your bank account. And if that is happening, you need to hang out, block the number, you can report it, but make sure that you're also telling your friends and family members, like, hey, somebody fake called me today from the census. This does not happen.
Right.
And speaking with, I know with the West Baltimore Census Collective, we actually have had a couple, I'm going to say activity days, but community outreach days where we've gone to the senior buildings. We had tablets, COVID, have our mask on, and helping them actually to complete the census. And so we want to make sure, like you said, we're getting all the population, our seniors, our millennials, our Gen Zs, and all of that. And so that takes me to, so I have been counted. I did complete the census. However, so I have 3 adult children, which was really weird. It was kind of weird, like completing. I was like, so they don't go on here?
They don't go with me.
They don't get counted. And so I wasn't I did it correctly. I didn't say that they, live with me. Well, two are in college, right? And so we're saying even if they are away at school. So how does that work? One is on here with us. Like, so then they complete it themselves. They each have to complete it themselves.
From what we was told is that the information is completed for them.
Got you.
So I have a point of clarity for that. It is wherever the person physically was on April 1st. What you saying? Say it again.
I was looking at Braxton's face.
Oh, right. Is that true? So I was told, and again, we'll kind of comb through these things. Some of these are like census faux pas or the myths of census, right? Mm-hmm. But I was told that wherever the person physically was on April 1st, right? So April 1st was like Census Day. So even if it's June 21st and you're still filling out census, where were you on April 1st? If you were in college?
Living.
Where were you living? Yeah, not physically, if you was on a bus stop, right? But
April 1st, let me see. April 1st.
You better have been quarantined, don't you dare.
April 1st. Oh, all right. So I need to complete
y'all.
Where I was.
Y'all see these risks, these quarantine.
Well, so let's just say their spring break took place and they happen to be home on April 1st. Mm-hmm. They will not be counted at home. At school. Okay. Now, if they lived in now let's just say they were living at school, but where they were living at school, it was an apartment. That's different. Yes, they do their own census there, but the school itself would do a
census for them. I don't want the state, the state, not the city of Bowie. I don't want the state of Bowie getting the credit for B-Sky. We need all of B-Sky in the 21217. Right. Have you seen our streets?
Right, I thought about that. I'm like, girl, so wait a minute.
Transfer her to Coppin real quick. So we get this money. So, Jean, first of all, this is not census related, but I love your hair. And I'm gonna be your twin. And so I'm sorry, let me get back on track because I might have been unfollowed, like, oh, I took my hair again. What things do not come out of the census pot? So I brought up the hair, right? So of course, how we look, right? Can't nobody get census money for their hair. That's stimulus checks. Y'all got your monies wrong. Mm-hmm. What things don't come out of the census money? So we talked about hospitals, we talked about schools, we talked about nursing facilities. Do roads, parks, and things like that also come out of census?
Roads come out of the census money. Yes, definitely.
Wow. Wow, that's good to know. That means nobody on Monroe Street has ever done a census.
Well, right. And so those who commute to work and all of those type of things, again, it affects everybody.
It does.
And so everybody completes it, because if you going back and forth, we obviously have not been doing a good job of completing the census the way the roads are. And it is not just Baltimore City.
Right.
For those who may commute up and down, even sometimes on the highways and byways, if you didn't go up and down 83 here and there, we need y'all to complete the census because we need some better roads in Maryland and Baltimore and the surrounding counties.
Hospitals as well as public works.
Oh, wow. And we want more than one day of trash pickup. So guys, go to my2020census.gov. If you have not yet completed your census, take your right hand and like slap yourself across the face.
I'm gonna say take your right hand to oath.
Nope.
Complete your census.
And use that same hand to type in my 2020 census.gov. It is uber important. It is just as important to vote as it is to do your census. And so for anybody who said, I'm just not doing it, what does it hurt?
Right.
What does it hurt? And I often ask people that, like, I can understand voting for the wrong leader could potentially be devastating, right? But not participating in the census is actually more devastating than participating in the census. Is there any wrong way, Jean, of completing the census?
If you're not counting everybody, that pretty much that's the wrong way. If you're not putting all the bodies on there, I want to make another point.
Put your bodies on
it. Put your body on the floor. The need for for the completion of the census. When you think about the House of Representatives, you think about what their role is, and why it's extremely important for us to complete the census. We want as many seats as possible.
That's right.
Representatives pass laws for us.
That's right.
So if we have a considerable number of seats for our state, then hopefully the laws that get passed will benefit our state.
That's right.
So people have to really think. It really gets deep in terms of why this is extremely important. Another thing I want to put out there is when an enumerator comes to your door, don't lie and say you're not the person.
Kiki just did that.
It's not the good time, and you're doing it 3 times. It's not a good time, because what's going to happen is they're going to keep coming. You're not going to stop them from coming. You can get a person the very next day. You can get a person the very next week. They're going to keep coming. And so it's just best for you to just go ahead and knock it out the way. Or when they give you that notice of visit sheet, if you don't want them to come back, then just call the number on the sheet and do the interview, or just go online and fill it out online. And it is not long. Oh my gosh, the census has changed so much.
Yeah.
Compared to how it used to be back in the day. It's like when you're doing your taxes, you're doing a short form or the long form.
Oh, back in the day.
Definitely. Right now, short form.
Yeah, that's right.
And as a person who, I used to work for the census 20 years ago out in Essex and the warehouse, and we used to key in the data into a computer system. Long form.
Wow.
So nowadays we have it really, really, really good. It doesn't take that long. When I tell you, it does not take that long.
How's that possible when you're only 25? Like, girl, stop lying to us.
A girl.
She my new sister. She is silver, but she my sister.
Because I've been here before.
Fact. So listen, I will turn 37 on my next birthday. Yay to me. I'm excited. Right, 37 at 8:37. And so
I wish some years.
Girl, I plan on having another baby, right? Let's say if this baby had already happened, right? I had that baby June 1st of 2020. And the enumerator comes knock on my door on June 4th. Is my baby a person?
Yes,
Does that baby go on census? Does that baby go on the census?
Your baby got bodies. Your baby is a body.
Say it again.
Your baby is a body. I'm sorry.
If we're going based upon the April 1st date, absolutely not. If the live date was June 2nd, absolutely yes. Your baby was born June 1st, right? Census came. Okay, enumerator came June 4th. Absolutely. Whoever is physically in that house is counted. Who's in your belly. You're not counting who's in your belly. But definitely.
The chicken don't count.
The chickens don't count. Not these chicks.
Do not count chickens. Do not count those cousins that you be putting on your tax returns that don't really live with you.
My ghost cousins, they are important to me. But anyway.
How about pets?
Absolutely not. I wish.
They go on, right. Because this one's making an appearance. The reason I asked that is because I have noticed, especially, and this is not to pinpoint a specific group of people, but some of the Hispanic neighbors that we've talked to have not counted their small children.
That's a problem.
And so, and I know where that comes from. It comes from, I mean, even us, when we were growing up, it was like, oh, you almost like you're still 3/5 of a person because you're a baby, well, that baby doesn't count. No, the baby does count. And
it's that age thing where the age is important. So it's important to know that, because if you're doing it down day 2, and this is for over 10 years, then you understand what you're going to need for that child. And so that goes back to your Head Start program. You're not counting your 2 and 3 and 4 year olds. We're not going to have Head Start programs, guys.
Well, no, they consider 2 and 3 year olds. It was the baby. You haven't turned 1 yet.
Oh, wow.
And I've actually heard that from several people, oh yeah, they don't count people are not counting their baby. So if your baby is out of your body, that baby is alive and pooping and kicking and screaming, put that baby on the census.
Yeah. When the enumerator shows up before they start the interview, Well, as they're starting the interview and introducing themselves, they're giving the respondent a information sheet, and it explains the safety of them giving their information, as well as it explains who should be counted in the household, so that those mistakes do not happen.
Got it.
But I do understand with some of our population that they may not count because they might be concerned that ICE is involved.
Yes. Right.
No, absolutely not. ICE is not involved. ICE does not get any sort of information on the population count or anything like that. We just need to know that we're making sure that financial resources are hitting the neighborhoods, hitting all neighborhoods.
Got it. I hear you loud and clear. So ICE is not involved.
No.
Nor is your baby father icy. So we're not reporting back to child support. We're not reporting back to social services. None of those things. And again, in Black communities, we were, don't put them people in my business. Don't put those people in my, And so our business has left us out of the conversation. So I really just want to stress, like, this is for the sole purpose of population qualifying and making sure that we're getting actual funding in our communities.
Right.
And so again, the website is www.my2020census.gov.
So we want to hear from you guys. Have you been counted? Have you participated in the census roll call? Again, drop your comments. You can say, I've been counted. It pays to be counted. Hashtag it. Be more counted. Yeah. We want to know, have you been counted in the census? So we're doing roll call tonight for the census.
Get your census on.
Get your census on. And if you haven't done it, do it now. We have the website across the ticker. Do it now.
Slap yourself across the face. Yeah. And the reason I say that is because too frequently we have to be back up against the wall, whatever, until we can respond to things. I remember when I was an advocate at Bowie State, and I used to help like incoming freshmen coming in, and their parents would be like, "Oh, I haven't done this yet, and I haven't done for this yet," and you were like, "Dude, like you had 18 years. You knew this child was hopefully going to have a future when you had them, And so we have to break the stigma of waiting to the last minute, So guys, if you have not done the census, due to my2020census.gov, there's a lot of resources. There's even videos. I love YouTube. I'm a YouTuber. I go to YouTube to find everything, like how to comb your hair. Oh, let me Google it. Let me search that up. And so you can search up how to.
Sound like Josh.
I'm sixth grader. He thinks he's cool. He'd be like, "Mommy, I'm gonna search it up." So search that out. Well, he don't say it like that because he's masculine. He's like, "Mommy, I'm gonna search it up." But anyway, I digress. But she's a bird on her head.
Oh my goodness, it is so cute.
Oh, she's actually while she's fighting me to not just.
Well, at least you're our first guest who had a bird on her head who wasn't a bird brain. You're not a bird brain at all.
Where am I? Head.
She said, right, definitely not.
First of all, not even close.
No, not at all.
She's one of the smartest women I've ever met. I'm buttering you up too because I'm getting her out of the equation. You can be my new friend. I get rid of the middle friend.
You know what I said earlier? I think y'all should make a corny census video because Tori made me just think of this, with this whole slapping, right? It could start out with, you slapping your face and then you fill it out and then you're getting that money and then completely you pat yourself on the back all with the same hand.
Come on,
I love that. Don't nobody else steal that idea.
We're going to do that too.
I got to use the marketing degree for something.
Yes, that is, I like that idea. I love that idea.
You're welcome. You can have it.
Oh yeah, that's good. I love that. I'm here for it.
We gotta have somebody put the money out. It pays to be counted. We need that money.
I love it.
Money.
Yeah, I just recently picked up a greater level, I guess, of responsibility with the NAACP.
I cannot take myself seriously with her on my
I love it. I love it.
She said I can't take myself seriously.
But who she thought? She's like me. So Jean, I always has food on their face or something. I'm like, girl, take the food off your face. I can't take it seriously. I have taken on some new responsibility with the Baltimore chapter of NAACP. So to them, I appreciate them, and I'm eager to work and do some more work. And I know the NAACP has had a focus on like really pushing the census. What I want to suggest that everybody do is, if you have an organization that you're a part of and they're not talking census, if they're not connected, get them connected. Drop some names of other organizations. The West Baltimore
Census Collective.
Yes. Is a huge, just visionary. We're moving and shaking and all of that. I say we with them because, so the NAACP.
Well, we lead as a partner.
We lead as a partner. Adult literacy, because you got to be able to read to circle the boxes and fill them out. But we want to make sure that we are doing our part at connecting organizations as well. And so you go to the doctors, right? Some people are coming back outside, going to the doctors. Hey, have you guys done your census? I don't see anything in here that says about census. Sometimes people just need a nudge. We want to innovate our communities to say census everywhere you go. No difference than what it looks like when the circus is coming. You go to circus, the circus flyers are everywhere. They're in the Jiffy Lube. They're in the dollar stores. They're in the supermarkets. There is no reason that the circus gets more play than the census. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, and don't forget, money on the table. You know how people say we don't leave money on the table. So let's just talk to the people here real quick. Black folk, we don't leave money on the table. I know your mama and your grandmama taught you, don't leave no money on the table. Right. And if you do not complete the census, we're leaving money on the table for our community, for our schools, for our roads, for our hospitals. And so we want to keep that in mind, that it pays to be counted. And so I'm not saying it, let's go, y'all, like, let's do the roll call. Did you complete your census? Have you been counted? Again, you can complete it now, tonight. And we also want to reach out, to, again, like I said, our young people, making sure not being counted, in your parents' home. If you're living on your own, if you're 18 to 30 and you're not living in your mama basement, and you're living on your own, you need to complete the census for yourself as well. So making sure we understand it. My favorite. Yes.
Corey made a really good point in regards to organizations. One thing, the organization who I work for, Anne Arundel County, did was they sent out a memo and they asked everyone to add in their signature line. It's so crazy. It's big and ridiculous. But information, a big blurb about the census completing.
Oh, that's awesome.
And their signature line.
Yes. So in my signature line, it has my title and all my contact information. And then there's this big picture. And then information about completing the census, and then, and it gives the census website. So that's something that people don't really think about. They're sending out emails, they're at work and everything. If you have the ability to add a signature line, consider putting it in your signature line. You'll touch so many people.
I love it. And that's a good idea. We have a professional development tomorrow.
Get off of me.
I felt like we were on a Q-tip video. Flavor Rant. You remember that song? This is a fire red thing. Anyway, I digress. You're like a bird on your head with this ADHD. We'll never get done. But tomorrow for my professional development, I'm gonna bring that up. I work with the Office of Communications, Family Engagement, and Enrollment for Baltimore City Public Schools, and we're always thinking of ways to connect. But that is huge.
Something that's simple.
We have 18-year-old students. We have people in the district who could be changing their signature lines. People in the schools. Oh my God, we're about to set this thing on fire. Hey, Crystal, if you're listening, give us an air high five. Thank you, because we're gonna set this thing on fire.
Yes.
That's a great idea.
Challenges friends and family too.
Yeah, exactly. And we did that during the school year, just in our blurb saying that the building was closed, and that I put quotes and all kind of things in my signature.
You don't need anything else in your signature. She got 40 and she got y'all Sigma Gamma. What is it? Who y'all?
Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated.
She got that. She got every college she's ever attended. All of her children's names. Instagram handles, hashtag #BSky, get fly. It's too much. Her signature line is full, but those are the other ones of us we can do that. What did Jamonica?
Jamonica says she is going to complete it in the AM. We just made her put it on her to-do list for Wednesday. Thank you. Yes.
That is awesome.
Yeah. Jamonica, he just to me my in front of Kiana. I'm sorry.
I want to sing a 90s song, Jamonica. I might not be able to get with this or whatever.
It's all right. I love it. I love your marketing. Look at her.
Right.
Hey. Get your senses.
Yeah.
Get your senses. Hey.
All I need is some airbrush in my crop sweatshirt. Come on now.
And your braids. Oh, you missing some hoop earrings.
Yes.
And guess what?
Maybe so snappy.
Right.
We run upstairs.
Maybe we could afford some if these people would do their census.
Right. Okay.
I'm just saying. So look, we're coming down to the last 10 minutes of the show. Is there anything, Jean, you really want us to know? Any groundbreaking information that you want to share about the census?
Not really groundbreaking, but just remember the people who are coming to your door are people too, just like you.
That's good.
One thing I do want to say during this time of COVID, the census is actually ideal right now because for some people who are shut in, that's the only contact they're going to get. And some people really need to have a conversation with someone. And I just remember at the beginning, I was just like, oh my God, I cannot be great because I have a tendency to converse with people and I cannot get through my list if I'm having 30-minute conversations per house.
Yeah.
So everyone, when the person comes to your door, I know you're going through it, but they can only be there. They have to get to a whole bunch of other homes and everything. So, have slight conversations and everything. And then maybe, you might make a new friend because more than likely the person that's coming to your door lives in your neighborhood. That's another thing. Their enumerators that come to your door typically live in your neighborhood.
Most certainly.
The neighborhood, and they can get to each location quickly and everything. Okay. So you might make a new friend and you might see them again in a dollar store. So try to keep it straight to
you might see
them there. And just look for that person in the Family Dollar. Please.
I love it. First of all, that's my meeting spot. Stop telling everybody where to see me. Secondly, this sounds like the campaign as the candidate used to be so hard. They're like, Tori, you got through 10 houses in 8 hours. Yeah, only 10. Y'all hit 200. But I would, find myself being a lot more engaged in the conversations and things. What I do want to shout out is the enumerators. And so, to your point, they are people. I want to give a couple of tips. Guys, let's use wisdom, even though many of the enumerators are out there only because this is work, right? Not that they don't care about the census, but this is a job for them, right? And so they're out. A couple of safety tips I want to give. If you come to a door and the door has a home and it has a screen door and you knock and you hear a dog on the other side of that screen door, take your foot, whichever of the two is your stronger foot, and you put your foot against that screen door, because what will happen is more than likely that dog will come to the door with that owner. And sometimes, just sometimes, owners don't understand the strength of their own dogs. You may not be a dog person. That dog may be not so friendly. And so let's be wise even in well-doing. And so make that a habit. So again, if it's a screen door, you hear a dog barking on the other side of the door. From the outside, you put like, if this is the door, let's see if I can do it. This is the door. You place your foot like this to hold that screen door closed. Yeah, and also, if you are a dog person, something that could help you get through your interview is put a couple of pieces of kibble in your pocket. So the owner opens the door, the dog comes out, the dog is amazing and friendly and all of that, but you need to get through this interview because you got 100 other people. Ask the owner, hey, can I give your dog a treat? You go in your pocket, give the dog some kibble, they'll sit it down, and you can finish your interview. Another thing, if you smell substances, if you hear loud noise or music and it makes you uncomfortable, the census has a training. You guys have managers and district people that you can connect with. Don't put yourself in bad environments if you feel or sense that you may be in danger. I was reading a police statement of one of the young ladies who was assaulted. census worker who knocked on the door was assaulted. It is not something that's happening frequently. So I'm not saying that, but I am saying that not every person you encounter will be a good person.
Right.
And so job or no job, census or no census, let's exercise wisdom. Another thing I would suggest, if this is your job and you don't have a cell phone, right? Let somebody know where you are. Like, hey, I'm working in this area, for this week or that type of thing. Yes, it is mapped by your zip code. But if you live like us, we're in the 21217. You could be at Mondawmin or you could be at Pennsylvania and Gold. That's an extremely large chunk of territory. And so, Mondawmin is 21216. But let's say you're at Drew Hill Park, right? Or Pennsylvania and Lawrence. The zip codes are the same. Somebody was going to try to call me out like I'm really from where I'm from. But anyway, I digress. We want you to make sure you guys are exercising wisdom on both sides of the fence. So if you're an enumerator, stay safe. If you are a person who needs to be counted, get counted. Count the bodies in your house, living bodies. I know some of us have been quarantined since March. Some people might have other bodies.
Right.
You can't count them. You're supposed to let them live so they can be counted. Anything else?
No, I think that's good. Go ahead, Jean.
Yeah, a funny story. I had gone to a house and the dog beat the owner to the door, and they did not have the screen door lock, nor did they have their main door lock. So when I opened the door and I knocked on the main door opened, but the dog. So when the dog came to the dog hit the door with such force, he closed the door.
Oh, well, that's good.
And I was just like, oh my God. So then
thank you, Jesus.
When the owner finally came to the door and opened the door, typically I knock and then I back up and give distance. Now our face is covered, but I still like to give distance because typically no one's coming to the door with a mask on. And then the dog came outside and I had on a dress. And then he was like, oh, she's friendly. Now they tell us, even if they say the dog is friendly, ask them to put the dog away.
Right.
Okay. When I tell y'all that dog went up under my dress, the dog laid at my feet. The dog kept going up under my dress. I've had little children, run out and basically grab a hold of me as if I was their family members. And I was like, oh, you're so cute. And I would like to touch you, but I can't. So,
I'm sorry. Like I was trying to hold it in.
But enumerators do have phones.
Okay, good.
The census is completed on a phone.
Good.
That's provided to us from the Census Bureau. So if anything goes down, we are instructed to immediately leave, get in your car, and then dial. You make sure you're in a secure location, and then you call out. You call your manager. If they're not available, then they have backup managers and so forth. But you leave, even if it's not necessarily an individual. If the environment seems unsafe, but there are certain different things that will let you know it's unsafe, and that's subjective. But unsafe is unsafe. It doesn't matter who it is or what it is. Just put it. They know how to document and leave, and then it's set up where the house can be basically listed as such or whatever, and no one will have to go back. But yes, definitely, I've been in some precarious situations, and I've heard people say things really loud. They want to make sure that I heard them and everything. How many more hours I got on the street, and I try to get out as quick as possible, but I try to make sure I do my due diligence. But my life is extremely important.
Yes.
There's somebody's son out here who needs to be my husband. So, just try to make sure I look out for me. So, but yeah.
You gotta keep yourself safe so you can be found.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what I'm saying? My mother would be a free load. But yeah, it's been an interesting experience. It's had its fun moments and everything. But I just want to tell people to please just fill it out as soon as possible so that the only thing that we really have to focus on is just voting.
When is the last day to fill out the census?
Oh shoot. Dang it. It's like unless somebody
it wasn't a trick question.
I know, and I'm like, this one is my work. This is my work computer.
No, well, guess what? No worries. We're at time anyway. Look at God. So what we'll do is we'll drop the answer in the comments. So for anyone who wants it, needs it, they can get it out of the chat. But guess what? It won't matter because they're going to do their census.
September 30th.
September 30th?
Is the deadline.
Yeah. Okay, September 30th deadline. Thank you for that. I can't pay you for that 2 seconds you just logged onto your work computer. Can't do it. So look, this has been an amazing show with an even more amazing topic and an even more amazing guest. And
oh my God,
did you have anything? I know.
I thought that was giving each other kudos.
We were, Braxton. We were giving you kudos.
We was giving you kudos.
I was doing this.
We were saying how amazing honestly, you've been an amazing guest. Thank you for all the information and the knowledge. We really appreciate it. Of course, all the Dove love. Yeah. We'll make honorary Dove. She waited till 10th grade and try to ask could she be transferred, but
I cried. You have anything? Nope. Okay, good. Well, we appreciate you.
Don't out me.
Don't out her.
We appreciate you guys. This has been the Connected Corner where you get
news and resources you can
actually use. And so we hope you got something you can actually use.
Yes, I got some great information about the census. I'm feeling confident and knowing now that I did complete mine correctly. And I'm going to make sure I call the sons because they need to complete theirs for where they are. And so I'm excited and I'm glad we had this information. And Jean, is there anything that, our listeners can help you with? Where can they find you? Walking in the community.
Walking in the community. Walk up on me. I have an Instagram page. It's Pretty Eyes, PRETEYES. That's one. That's my more political page. And then I have my mental health for me page. Is called The Secret Garden, and that's THESEEDCRET. So if you want to learn anything about growing urban gardens in the city, growing food and everything, then you go to The Secret Garden. Thank you.
Okay.
Awesome. I'm going to call you because I have a new business line, a new business venture. Ooh. We don't talk about it. I think they could be. I'm pulling up my calendar. Yes, girl. And so it's a. I know. Don't touch my stickies. You don't want to be on my calendar. And so I'm gonna call Jean because Jean, I have an idea that maybe we could work together. Okay. And I won't be giving out the name. It's a candle line, but I ain't giving everybody the name until it's all certified and all that junk. But I'll tell you. I just ain't telling the connectors.
Good, because I like promoting Black businesses on my page.
Yes, we like to be promoted. All right.
Yep. And so you can find me, Kiana B. Jones, on all social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and you can find us The Connected Corner. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. And so for anybody who's watching the replay, you're watching us now, whether it be Facebook or YouTube, if you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe to the Connected Corner YouTube. You can also follow us at Beehive Connected Group on IG and Facebook as well. And Miss B Sky, you want to tell us where we can find you?
At the mall. At the mall.
On Instagram at Brex, BRAXSKYEO, and Facebook at Braxton Owens.
Yes, and I just love Braxton. She is just the world's top entrepreneur. She got like 17 businesses. She stay hydrated, skin on fleek, booty on top. Like, come on, girl. Your auntie cousin want to be just like you when she grow up. And so I am Tori Rose, the Connected. You can find me on social media. If I don't hit you right back, my bad. I'm journeying in my life, and so it's been taking me a little bit. I'm like, look at these messages. Anxiety be real. But y'all pray for y'all girls. Stay connected. This has been the Connected Corner. We appreciate you. And look, slap yourself do the census, get some money, pat yourself on the back, and let's all move forward as a community.
Yes.
Thank you, guys. Have
Thank
a great
you.
night.
God bless. Good night. Peace.
Oh God, that was funny.